Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Collective Conversations. I want to tell you, I'm not even going to talk about it. Tonight, we're talking about something that quietly holds a lot of us back, waiting for permission. Permission to start, permission to speak, permission to move, permission to become anything, everything, whatever. And the truth is, sometimes what looks like patience is actually hesitation, procrastination. What looks like wisdom can sometimes be fear dressed up into something more acceptable. In my case, anyway, I procrastinate a lot, and I need to get over it. So we know what feels like to have something on our heart, and an idea, and a move, and a shift, and then a pause. So, not because we don't know what to do, but because we're waiting for someone else to validate it. So, we're going to talk about tonight. It's not about pressure, not about awareness, but about recognizing where we've been shrinking, where we've been delaying, where we've been handing over power that was never meant to leave us in the first place. So, I have LaShawn Michael with me as part of the discussion, and she can introduce herself.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Lashani Michael Esquire. I'm your legacy builder coach in the Inner Circle Collective Community, but I am also the CEO and founder of Cycles of Life Estate Planning Company, where we're moving people from financial security to financial freedom while building a financial legacy that lasts a lifetime. You say, LaShawn, how do we do that? Well, we're going to ace that thing. And what that means is we're going to assess, we're going to consult, and then we're going to execute all your estate planning and financial needs. But in this community, I'm the legacy builder coach. But in regards to losing your power and not claiming your power, of course, we see this in business all the time. And it is something that just always, as women, and then add to it as a Black woman, that we always have to combat against. So I'm looking forward to this conversation tonight, Christy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce myself.
You're welcome. And then, as you're introducing yourself, I said I didn't even tell them who I am. I am Christy Davis, the AI Freedom Architect, and I'm the founder of Creative Tech Academy. I help business owners, small business owners, in the real estate niche. Y'all know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my mind went blank. I'm sorry. But I focus on helping one thing, helping people simplify their business, automate what drains them, and build structure that actually helps support their life. There you go. Okay, so back to our topic. Now, um, let's see. What does waiting permission look like in real life? What do you think it looks like in real life for you?
Well, for me, I'm just waiting to start, waiting for the green light, waiting for all things to be perfect. I think that's a big thing. It's progression, not perfection. But of course, for me, I struggle with that. I want everything to be in place. I'm very structured, very analytical. I'm thinking about all the possibilities. Of course, being a lawyer, you're always flipping things back and forth. This scenario could happen, or this scenario could happen. So for me, I would say that, the main thing is waiting for all the pieces to be together. As we chuckle tonight, we started a little late, technology, all the things, but waiting for everything to be in place, in perfect place. My mother used to tell me all the time, particularly in the area of dating, she would be like, I know you want someone to walk down the white sand beach with, but you know, your power in trying to find someone and find someone is not going to happen sitting in your house. You have to take charge and go for it. And so I think the antithesis of waiting for everything to be in place and to be perfect is just going for it. Or as the old adage says, just do it. And I remember years ago in a Bible study I was in, a sister said, do it scared. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power. And so we know that even biblically, that God gives us a green light. He doesn't even force salvation on us. So obviously, if there's something that we need to go after, of course, you should be in prayer and supplication about all things. So definitely says the first thing is to start with prayer and make sure that God is guiding you and leading you and taking the lead on this, because so often we jump into things and we don't get any real consultation. And I mean consultation from somebody who's all powerful, all knowing. But yes. And so when I use that adage from my mom is that I had to start living. And it's just getting started and doing it scared, being out here vulnerable. I think when we think about power, we don't think about vulnerability. And there's power in vulnerability. So for me, I think the main thing would be waiting for everything to be perfect. How about you?
Yeah, that you make a very, very valid point. And especially in the realm of business for me, waiting for everything to get perfect. And so I'm always trying to build the perfect whatever. And I'm going down a rabbit hole. Oh, this can be better. And this can be better. Or what about this idea? What about this idea? And I never get to launch. I never launch. And it is frustrating. It's like, okay, the first quarter of this year is gone. How much revenue do you have? How many products have you created? Oh, 25. But that's not showing anything. That's not launching anything. And like you said, do it scared. Even God did not give us a spirit of fear, but what am I really waiting on? I know I forget who made this example, but it really is clear to me. But something else is still blocking me, and I'm praying about it and trying to figure out what it is. But they gave me this example of two runners. And there's two people, okay, and the pistol goes off. One guy takes off. He don't know nothing about what he's doing. One guy takes off. This guy right here still doing stretches, lifting weights or whatever. This guy takes off, falls flat on his face, gets back up, cleans himself off, keeps running, falls flat on his face. And like every few miles, he falls flat on his face. But he gets back up and keeps running. And this guy's still doing stretches. Well, he's way back here. And this guy's way ahead, even though he keeps falling on his face. Even though he gets pushed back, fall on his face, but he's still way ahead. And it's clear to me that I still could be way ahead, much further ahead. Even with all the mistakes that could possibly happen that I can learn from, something still is blocking me.
And Denise and I were talking about this the other night. And if you all don't know, Denise Merriweather, of course, she is the career coach in here. And of course, she's promoting the Busy Trap. So if you are interested in that, please hop onto her page and check that out. But she, in my life, is not only my coach, she is my biological sister. And we were talking about, in regards to me starting this academy. And I was like, I just can't get past this stuff. I'm really struggling with this Kartra, struggling back with working full time at my other job and trying to balance it all and all the things and taking the time I need to continue to still be in recovery instead of rushing along my recovery. And I told her, I was like, I don't know what it is. It's like I have a block about this. I have the product, I know it'll help people. But also, I think it's just fear. It's fear of failing and also fear of succeeding. Sometimes we get caught up in that because I was like, okay, well, if I get these people to come to this academy, will they enjoy it? Will they find it beneficial? Are they going to ask for their money back? You put all these things in your head that's not there. We have to remember that you have everything that you need in your hands to get started. God has given us the talents and the tools to get started. Um, but also too, understanding that fear is good and it's a good fear, the good stress. I think when the wellness, the well-rested yogi talked about in one of her lives this week in regards to stressors, and the stress is the better stress, is the good stress, is the one that kind of gets us going. And of course, we know fear is false evidence appear to be real. There's 100 different acronyms and mnemonics in regards to fear. But we are anticipating things that hasn't occurred yet. And not realizing that it's okay to fail. It's okay if no one registers for your program. It's okay if no one registers for your class. It's not the end thing. The thing is that you got out here and get started. And we tend to forget in business that it takes years and years to build a successful business. So the fact that you don't have any zeros in your corner in your account this quarter doesn't mean by the end of the calendar year, in the end of the fiscal year, you won't. But of course, your efforts also got to match your hustle. And so the thing is that we're getting what we expected. We're getting what we're putting out there, because of whatever the mental block is, we're freezing up the money because we're not even trying. Because at least if you tried, you don't make any money. That's one thing. But if you tried, you wildly succeed, which usually is what happens. Because I always believe God will put you back in the direction that you need to be. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we need to sometimes get quiet to get to what is that uncertainty. So I think you are doing the right thing by saying, you know what, God, what is really the blockage? And I know for me and Denise, she was like, yeah, Sean, unpack that. That's a real thing in regards. Sounds like I just think it's a fear, and it's not that I don't know the work and don't know the stuff. I've been practicing law for 26 years. I've been doing this.
We know the stuff.
We know the stuff. It's not, people that I've helped to tell you, like, well, she knows the stuff.
No, she knows the stuff.
Right. Now why it won't make them go to the next point? Now that's another thing. Like, okay, but I'm doing all this, God, and what is it for? Is it for naught?
Right.
And
I
so
asked myself that earlier today.
Yeah.
Why am I even doing this?
Right. Yeah. Because so many things are driving, ego, other things are driving this engine. And we just have to be careful in regards to, is it ego? Is it God? Is it us? What is it?
Or is it for impact?
Is it right? Because again, if we're not out here, particularly when I'm talking about legacy in the regular terms, we're thinking financial. But I tell people, what are you getting up every morning for if it's not to impact somebody in some kind of way? Right. Whether that's your family, whether that's, people in your sphere of influence, whether that's leaving an impact on the world. When you pass on, and we all are going to pass on, what will people say about you? Mm-hmm. Will they say, oh, she was real successful, but I didn't like her? Or she was real successful, but she was cutthroat. Right. She was, I want people, I don't want only God to say, well done, good and faithful servant. I want people on earth to speak well of my name in closed rooms while I'm alive, right. To speak well of my name when I do expire and leave this earth. But it is always interesting to hear what people say about you when you're not present, or when there's an opportunity for you. Will they pass it on to you, or will they put salt on your name? So again, and working in high levels of integrity, for us, especially the landmarkers, we are big on integrity. And I tell people, I want to be Denise has said integrous. I'm still not sure if that's a word. I'm going to say high integrity. I was like, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to go with it. And so, are you doing things in integrity? And that's important too. So I think there's a lot of things and a lot of factors that's stopping us. And I think it's appropriate and needed to take the well steps to be go forward, but we got to do it scared. And that's what I would carry with me, because in every area of life is doing things scared. And so that's what I would say is the thing, is the big thing for me, and the hindrance, doing it scared, and being the motivation for me to go on and to do it. So
Yeah, and you said something powerful as far as our output matching our input. Because what I find with myself is consistency being an issue. I'll go hard these for 5 hours or whatever on one day, and then the next day I'm not doing anything. But I think being consistent, I know being consistent is the way to get anything done. You can't do sit-ups this month, 5 this month, and then none until next July. And expect you're gonna have some abs. It's not gonna work. Consistency is how you get anything done. And I just get overwhelmed sometimes with my schedule. Like before I came to do this live here, I did a live for just my regular live day for the inner circle. And before I did that, I was getting off work. So I had 5 minutes to run to the bathroom. I mean, I didn't have any scheduled time in between. So I said, something's got to give. I have to, plan my schedule better. Otherwise, when will I have time to do the things that needs to be done in order to get the business going,
I think that's very critical, using your calendar and scheduling, because, the dreams don't wait, but they will defer if we don't make time for them. And so, my dad gets up every morning. He said, I'm always dreaming about something new every morning. That keeps me going. And, I always thought that was so powerful. He told me that years ago. He's now 84. And I was like, what other dreams can you have fulfilled? Like, I would be on cruise control at this point. But he was like, every morning I have an agenda and I have something that I want to do. And I think that's important too, just having that motivation. Because I know for me, it's kind of like, oh, what am I doing this for? And I'm tired, and so, I always have to remember that, there's a higher purpose for all of this stuff. I had a coworker that experienced death today. And yesterday was my mom's 7-year death anniversary, if that's even a thing, but she died 7 years ago yesterday. And the thing that I kept thinking about, and I always think about, is I don't want people to be in a state of confusion,
right?
Like some of the things that we had to go through. I thought overall the process was smooth, but every time I think about estate planning and how many people that are in my sphere of influence that don't have a will, don't even have a will. Let's not talk about trust and all these things, but don't have basic things in place. If they pass away tonight, their family's going to be held to skelter, and no plan on how will your family financially sustain or whatever. So for me, that's the call that keeps telling me, keep trying this, keep doing this, keep telling people this information, because I know it's helping.
Yeah, right. And until my husband and I met with you, I thought I had my stuff lined up, and I didn't realize how much stuff I was missing. So everybody, listen, y'all need to get with it, because you don't know how much stuff you're missing.
Yeah, thank you for the plug. But
you need to get there.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with AI. It's funny. I chuckled because I said, the reality is this is the wave. And as much as I'm resistant, it is the wave. I mean, we're talking about AI now, particularly in the law, but we're talking about AI in every area. And they're saying just economically, in just a matter of years, AI will eliminate so many jobs. And so I think we have to pay attention. But as I always tell people, no matter how much technology we have, there's always got to be somebody behind it, pressing the button or
It does.
fixing. And so I tell young people that I'm into, get into tech, because as we continue to trudge along, you think about all of the technology we have now that just 10 years ago we didn't have, a couple of years ago we didn't have.
Right.
You know,
And those people who know how to use that technology are
correct,
getting the jobs.
are
So
getting the
if you know how
job.
to use AI,
Mhm.
then you'll be getting the jobs.
Yeah, and you know, and I always tell people, think about your last hard thing that you had to learn. You know, when you tell about your story and also your testimony about learning AI and learning technology to get a job, you know, because you was like, oh, I need a job, I got to make something happen.
Right.
You know, I tell people, think about something hard that you did. I have a coworker that struggles with she hates writing. And but just a couple of years ago, she came in fourth in the triathlon and didn't even know how to swim at the beginning. Like, was going to swim in her 50s. That's something that happened in her 20s. We're talking about a person, she's older than me, and we're both in our 50s. And every time she gets frustrated, I said, remember that. Because that's awesome. You know, to go into a pool and have fear that so many of us, particularly African Americans, have in regards to going in the pool and just learning how to swim. And then don't even get into the hair and all the things that we're worried about swimming. But to go in there and go every weekend and could barely float, it was able to come in fourth in her age group for a triathlon. You talk about writing, and you scared about writing, and you a lawyer, and you scared about writing, and you done taught yourself a whole skill set that you didn't even have before for a race that you just did for your own being. You wasn't training to be in the Olympics. You woke up and decided, I want to do a triathlon and did it. And then trained in a matter of months and did it weekly for months. And I said, that should knock you into not having any fear about anything. So
anything at all.
Anything. So, you know, I want us to stay back on topic in regards to the conversation, but you know,
no, it's all about motivation.
Yeah.
And launching, executing.
Right. And that's the thing, you know, and just not losing your power. And I know this was stemmed the birth of a conversation about a person saying something about women and their ability to do these things. And my things, and I know for a lot of women, I wasn't fortunate enough to be in that category, you know, balancing with children and a spouse and all these things, and then trying to advance in the workplace. And we think about it so many years ago, that wasn't even a conversation. You know, my mom was an at-home mom until I was 12 years old and Denise was 10. She didn't work full time until she worked in the summers while we were at our grandparents in North Carolina. And so, you know, that wasn't even a contemplation for her. She was in nursing school and all these things. And, you know, and how hard it was, you know, having a household to run with a husband with an expectation of this was our agreement that you were going to be at home with them, and something that my mother wanted to do. She wanted us to come home. Me and Denise came home every day to food cooked. You know, we had sit down dinners every day except Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah. And then my mother started working, and what happened? We became fast food kids. You know, and those things contribute to your wealth, your weight, your health, all the things.
Mindset too, you know.
And mindset, you know, but it just shows you the struggle so many women go through to balance this power, you know, to balance. And I took a Bible study class years ago about balance. Is there such a thing? And my pastors contend that where do you find work-life balance in the Bible? It ain't in there. And I tell people, and my mother used to tell me that there's no circumstance that's not in the Bible. But the word balance in regards to working and all these things, it is not referenced in the Bible. Certainly because of the times, but also because I think so many of us choose to try to fulfill all the dreams. Because if Gwen was up here, she has another business that she doesn't. The mother being a martyr, a mom not martyr, a martyr not mother, or whatever. And she talks about this all the time on, especially our parents' generation, not us, because we're doing all the things. We're bringing home the bacon. We cutting the hog. We killing the hog. We
Everything.
and all the things.
Raising up the hogs.
Raising up the hog, raising up the children, the husband, the boyfriend, partner, the whatever.
Whatever.
Right. And the thing is that could it be that in the Bible, and this is just me paying on the other side of it, were we not supposed to be doing all this? Yeah. But I do know that God gives us free will. So I'm not going to say that. And of course, are we beating ourselves up because it's not successful? And I tell people what we think success is. Right. We need our career coach up here to talk about success.
Right.
Pull out a Webster's dictionary quickly. And what is the definition of success? But I say all this to say is that I think that we are caught up in a lot of what we see on social media. People see us dressed up, and being able to have the mental fortitude to come up here and talk and do all these things. And people think this is easy. Right. It's not. And it's I won't say a sacrifice, but it's definitely a decision and a choice that, we do these videos, or we're pouring into this business or doing all those things. And, our coach reminds us all the time, your input, will determine your output. And so the reality is that, but I often struggle with, are we doing too much? Because I tell people all the time, I'm not only doing this, I'm in multiple organizations. I'm an officer in an organization. Seems like every year I wind up being a co-chair, a committee chair. I'm in one organization, I'm an officer, and I'm in on three committees. Well, when do you have the time to do anything when you are so busy being all these things? And not only when Denise talks about the busy trap, but also too, we also have to get behind why we're putting so many things on our calendar. So we can't focus on the things that we need to do. The reality is that when we look at the world and the trajectory of the world, a lot of us will wind up working for ourselves. That's the reality. And so every time that I get tired about this business, I'm like, you know what, God? As Denise said, I've been a W-2er for a long time. Mm-hmm. But the reality is you never know when a job is going to walk in and make you a 1099er.
Right.
And so, I tell people to have things in multiple streams of income, but I think, we also have to be intentional. Mm-hmm. We have to be intentional on what we're doing. So often we are just jumping onto stuff and doing things, and we're not doing things in the right intention. So for me, I tell people, why are you doing this? Why are you joining this organization? Why are you picking up something else to do? Why are you being a part of this group? Even with church, okay, do you need to be on all the committees? No. Because, my pastor used to tell us, he was like, I just need y'all on one good committee, just one. Some of y'all doing 4 and you're horrible at all 4 because you don't even have the time, but you're scared to say no. So that's another thing I would tell people. Learn to say no. You can't be everything to everybody all of the time. No. And it's all right to be selfish.
I learned that the hard way.
Yep. Intentional, saying no, and learn to be selfish. Choose your health over. I was fighting with a coworker this week. I'm going to come in. But you're sick. All right. I don't want to hear you all day whining about being sick when you guys
win no medals, no trophies.
Right. I promise you, your epitaph is not going to read, you came in at this time sick 5 times.
Your paycheck is not going to have extra money in it.
There you go. Not right. Not any of us. I mean, we are salary workers. And I said, they give you this good thing is sick time for you to utilize it. And what is so crazy to me is we work with families that hourly workers that don't even have sick time. And I said, now you had to go because it's going to cause your check to be cut and you need to pay your light bill.
Right.
That's a whole different thing. But if you
come on in. Look.
Right. So for me, is making sure you realize that, be selfish. If you are not well, physically and or mentally, you can be nothing to nobody and not even to yourself. Amen. So choose to be selfish because that's when
I need you to say that again. I need you to say that again. And we choose sit right there.
Selfish because if your mental and physical health is in jeopardy, you are not going to be good to anyone, including yourself.
That's right.
And so often we are burning the candle at both ends of the stick for no reason. You're not going to get an extra medal going to heaven about that. That is not what God is requiring of you. He's requiring you to transform people and make impact. That's what he's requiring you. Spread the good news. He only gave us 2 commandments. Love thy neighbor like we love ourselves and tell people about him. That's it. Now all this other stuff we've added. And then we cry to him about why it's not working. And I was like, it's not working because
I'm so tired.
Right. Let some of this go. Take a break. And stop guilting yourself about taking a break. Or
where that mentality comes from, I got to be tired. Why do I have to be tired?
I sleep when I did. And Gwen talked about this on one of her lives a couple of months ago. If you don't get proper sleep, you're going to have a premature death. We know this to be true. And so, again, I think that mindset comes from a lot of things. Of course, environment, your community, your growing up, your family, the scarcity mindset that, if we don't work ourselves to a worker bee, we won't have things. And I'm trying to get people to get to a life of ease. Like that. Yeah. And we need to get to a life of ease instead of, because what winds up, we wind up in disease dis-ease because we keep trying to do all these things. And I'm not telling any woman, because I have achieved a lot of things in my life, but there's a lot of things that I have sacrificed in my life or didn't put high priority on to have some other things, did I sacrifice having a family because I wanted a career?
That right there. Yeah.
And so like I said, like I said, every day I get up and know that God, my steps are ordered and the things that have happened has happened. Now, were they supposed to be some lessons I'm supposed to get out of them? Absolutely. Have I gotten all the lessons? Probably not. Because my desire is something else and I'm still in the same place. And so again, God is a God of repetition if you're not careful. I tell people, if you learn the lessons, you're going to be in a cycle. The cycles of lifetime, the things you fail to learn from tend to repeat.
Right.
Watch, rinse, and repeat. That's
she didn't get that the first time. Let's take it again.
Let's try one more time. And let's see if she keep hitting this brick wall. If the blood will come out, make her do something different. So, that's the thing I tell people about losing your power. Don't lose your power when you're not putting the proper things in perspective. So, as I said, for me, to recap, fear, not really consulting to God in regards to what I'm supposed to be doing and kind of just doing things as I think it's the thing to do to get me to the thing, lack of intention, lack of motivation, not saying no, devoting your time to things that's taking you from the times of the things you need to do, and also not being selfish. We've made selfish into a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing. Being selfish and telling, your girlfriends, I need to really, really horn down on this business stuff this weekend is not a selfish thing, because in the long run, it is going to not only be beneficial for you, but for your family, because you're leaving an impact in whatever your business realm is. You're building a legacy. And not only that, whatever your impact is, if it's to teach young, or to teach working women about AI so they can be on top of it, so they don't be a casualty of AI,
right?
Then that's more important than the hanging out or this event or 5,000 committees at church. And I tell people, I used to work in church too. So I worked in the nursery, greeting, all the things. But like I said, right, my minister never lied about this. And I always tell people, he was like, I just want y'all on one strong thing. Because some of y'all need to master the one strong thing instead of being everything, because y'all think it's winning brownie points with God. And not if you're doing it and not right in order. Not if it's a bunch of chaos every time you're doing something. Not if you're late all the time or the project is not coming off right because you're running from this place to this place. And, oh, I'm so sorry, I had another meeting, all the things. So don't lose your power, but not counting about those things. Intentionality, intentionality, intentionality. And stop being busy, but be busy on the right things. Just stop being busy just to be busy, because it's also, you need to go internally to figure out what's driving that. Is it ego? Is it loneliness? Is it something else? And so many times there's other things driving us.
Absolutely. And I know one thing that I plan to do this weekend is I plan on taking a sheet of paper, or maybe might start on my whiteboard, I don't know, but I'm going to list the different things that I'm involved in, and put the items that I have to work on under each one of those, and do an assessment just to see what I'm getting out of each one of them, and then is it really something that I want? Because if it's not something that I want, then I'm not going to continue to do it. Why am I doing it? And so
and that's hard sometimes, because you don't want to let people down, and right, oh, this is my friend and I don't want to disappoint them. But what I tell people is, you wind up maybe destroying a relationship because you're doing something that you never really wanted to do in the first place. And you're just doing it because you think it's a thing to do, or that was an obligation, or that was a commitment. Now, right, I'm not telling people and telling you, particularly in your workplace situation, that you don't follow through with a commitment. If you stood up and said, I'll do this project, you need to complete the project.
That's right.
But what you also need to do is balance that project into all the things. So if you know that you need these amount of days to complete this project to the place that it's in excellency and in the way that you want it, then you have to make sure that maybe this ain't the weekend I'm going to go out with my boyfriend or my husband to go to the movies. Right. I know y'all want to see the Michael Jackson movie, but maybe that ain't the weekend for this. Maybe you got to hump down and do what you need to do, what you committed to. You're not committed to going out, and you can do that anytime, And so, but, I tell my team all the time at work, I said, we only asking y'all to do this stuff in a finite amount of time, in a very limited amount of time. So, just hunker down to do it. This too shall pass. This project will be over. This case will be over. These things will be over. So at the end of the day, do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're in the place that you need to be. But it won't be like that if you consider to keep doing things you don't want to do. And remember, people know when you don't want to do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It shows in your production. It shows in your display. It shows in your demonstration. So when you think it's, oh, you're doing something and, I'm showing up. Yeah, you're showing up. But if you're showing up and you're mad because you didn't really want to be there, it shows. If you're showing up late, it shows. If you're showing up and you're giving half effort, it shows. And that destroys relationships with people much quicker than anything else. Yeah. So don't ever surrender your power because you agreed to something that you didn't want to do. I had a situation at work and I was like, I just don't agree with this and I'm not going to participate. And I told my boss that. People was like, whoa. I did. Because is if when the time comes and the act that they're asking me to do is not done and not complete, you can't come back and say that LaShawn Yvette Michael told you she was going to do it.
Right.
Now, as I told her, I said,
clear up front.
Yeah, I told her up front. So her expectations can be nothing else. And that's another thing that destroys and shifts our power, false expectations. We put a lot of expectations on people that makes no sense, that they don't even know or understand. And then we put a lot of expectations on ourselves that can't be achieved.
Exactly.
And so, so I told her what my expectations was, and also reminded her, with all due respect, as I am a subordinate to you, for sure, this is not a job requirement.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, I don't have a need for this thing. Y'all could choose to do something different or not, but I'm not participating. Okay. Period. Right. And that's what it is. So, and she was, and of course, I did say to her in anger. I did say to her in a disrespectful way. We were just having a conversation. I was like, hey, I wanted to talk to you about da 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 da. And she tells me, and we sit and talk about it. And she was like, yeah, we could do what you're recommending. But then again, not doing stuff that you don't want to do. And then it's approach, but also laying the right expectations and boundaries down in the beginning. Because again, it goes back to agreeing to do these things that you don't want to do. Right. Because, I don't want to get fired. Well, this I knew I couldn't get fired from. So I'm not telling you to go out here and just be wild. But, but I think also too, that you do have to maintain your power in regards to what you can and what you're able to do and what you want to do and how you do it. And so it's always a how to do everything. And of course, I tell people, no, you don't go into a job, excuse the pun, guns a-blazing about what you're not going to do and what you're going to do. Because I have to, as a manager, I have to have that conversation with people. Let's have a level set conversation here. You are the subordinate and I'm the superior. And unless I'm telling you to harm yourself or harm your children or others, let's not tell me what you're not going to do that's within your job description. Okay? Because I have things, there's somebody governing me also. So that doesn't mean I could give you all kinds of requests. I need you to go out here and buy me 12 dozen of eggs and bring them back to my desk because I'm your manager. Mm-mm. You're not my personal shopper. But at the same time, if you come to people and say, how is a different approach and how it's better, then you don't lose your power. You actually gain power that way. I had a colleague that was telling me about going electronic. As y'all probably can guess, I'm anti the electronic. Go to paper. It's staying paper. Right now, we have a dual system in our office. And I said, well, the reality is our boss is saying we are dual. And until we convert fully to electronic, y'all can't come to me talking about fully electronic. Right. So, she came into my office and she was, guns are blazing. So I just sat there just like this. And I let her get it all out. And then I said, are you finished? Just like that, calmly. Oh, no. And when she saw that my energy didn't match her energy, because I think she thought I was about to go, No, I was not. Because, see, I'm never going to lose my power. I'm the manager. So at the end of the day, you can hoot and holler. But if my director, who is the manager of me, says this needs to be done, and it's in the confines of what we do, you can hoot and holler all you want to. You choose. But then if it write you up or you get disciplined, you chose. Right. But she came to me, and so when she calmed down and she realized I didn't have to think, she wound up teaching me something that was a wonderful idea that we implemented. Now we still got paper. Because again, our governing director says we're gonna have a dual system. So I told her, I said, you can fuss all you want to. I'm telling you what this lady done told me, and this is what's going to be until she decides something different. You could argue if you want to. But if you have something that's going to help us ease into fully electronic, I'm here for it. And she gave me something, and now I tell everybody about it because I learned how to do it. She's like, it's really easy, LaShawn, because she knew she had to talk me into the technology. And I was like, okay, it is easy. I use it all the time now. It didn't shift us from being from paper to fully electronic yet, but it's helping us lead a path that we don't need to print out everything. We can upload some of this stuff and put it in our electronic systems. But again, I wasn't going to lose or shift my power by going toe to toe with her about something I knew she was going to lose. So I was like, honey, we're going to lose. Now, if you want me to go to the bosses and ask, I'm certainly willing to put myself on the line to ask for anything y'all think is going to make your job more efficient. However, there is a respect level that comes to this. So that's why I asked her, will you finish? Because I'm going to tell you, you were getting nowhere with me with that type of attitude. Right. But I was going to shift my power and go toe to toe with you, because then I'm going right down to your level.
Right. And nothing's getting accomplished. And so that scenario that you spoke about made me think about if she, I don't know who she had discussed that with prior, but she didn't wait for permission. Well, she was asking for permission, right? Because she worked for you.
That's it.
So she was asking for permission to implement that policy.
She was asking for permission because she did not fulfill what was required for the review. Okay. And her excuse is I do everything electronically. That's very, really good. And we appreciate that. Good for you.
Gotcha.
The requirement.
I was trying to tie it back to what we're talking about as far as.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I said, she used it as an excuse.
Yeah, she was using it as an excuse, but then she wound up getting the permission, in regards to once she taught it to me. And I said, if you would have come to me like this in the beginning, we wouldn't have had to waste a whole hour of you acting a fool. But, and be sitting here looking crazy, because I tell people all the time, and the guy I dated years ago told me, you can't argue with yourself. So I'll be fussing and he'll be sitting right there. Now I want to slap the stew out of him. That was my inclination. Not encouraging DV out here. What I'm saying is this.
You're the only one sitting there yelling. Yeah.
Well, guess what it made me do? Stop,
right.
Because you yelling at yourself. Because he's paying no attention.
All right.
And I use that example is you catch more bees with honey. That ain't just the saying, it's the truth. So her coming in there with me shut down any possibility, permission, or anything to get anything that she was hoping to get accomplished. Right. But then once she saw I wasn't gonna get to her level, and she knew the only way to break through was to, as people say, talk to me nicely. You had to come back and talk to me sweetly, baby, because it's not gonna work like this. So, but I'll let you have your minute to vent and your frustration about you not achieving what was required. But now that you're done, you still gonna get the low scores. Like I told her, I said, oh no, I scored you the way you score. I'm not changing the score on your evaluation. So that's not happening. However, I will take it into consideration, and I will try to push this on the other team members in the office in regards to your idea about uploading some things. And of course, it was well received across the board. Once people were trained on how to do it, that was fine. And again, your permission, if you would have come to me and said, I really think this is antiquated, that we're not moving to full electronic, because this is where everybody, and that's the wave. And I know that. But I worked for the federal government back in 1996, and they said they were going paperless. And I guarantee you, if I walk into today in the federal government, they still got a bunch of paper. Again, it just takes a long time because people are resistant to change anyway. But also, it's also about implementation, and again, when you are playing defense and trying to implement something, it's hard. But when you do offense, it's a whole different game. When you're up here scoring the points, it's very different. You don't score points coming to somebody's office fussing about what you don't want to do when you already know the system's in place. And I think that's the number one thing we all seem to forget, is that there are things and rules in place. And the only rules
for a reason.
For a reason. There are guardrails on the road so y'all won't drive off the road. Some of y'all is going so fast you would literally drive off if it wasn't something to stop you.
Exactly.
And so, and I tell people, I said, God tells us that we got to come under governance and authority of somebody, period. Mm-hmm. That's in every area of our lives. So unless you plan on being an entrepreneur, which is your choice, full time.
And there's still rules there too.
And there's still rules and things you got to do. StreamYard got rules. You know what I'm saying? Everything, anything you got that you're using got rules or things and how you can do it. And you can choose any way you want to choose it. But the reality is that you got to come under some governance. And the reality is whether that's taxes, whether that's whatever, it don't matter what job you're doing, there's things that has to be done. So you make the decision. But at the end of the day, the permission is given and granted when you come to people in the right spirit, in the right mindset, and come with something innovative instead of coming with a complaint.
Right.
You know, that's when you lose your power, when you complain it all the time. Because let me tell you something. I tell people at my job, honey, this is not indentured servitude. We pay you every 2 weeks. And guess what? You got free will of choice to go right out here, this big, big green world, in this big world wide web, and find you someplace else to work. And my boss she laughs at me because sometimes I just have to get that basic with people I work with. Today I was telling her, I said I had to tell one of our team members, it's the window or the door. You choose. But you're not going to keep coming to here telling me something and I'm trying to help you. And you sit up here telling me and giving me all these excuses and complaining. It's draining. And it's not solving anything. So tell me what's the solve? How can I help you solve the problem?
Right.
And she came.
What do you need?
Right. What do you need? And that was the point of our meeting last week when I taught her, what do you need? How can I help you in this endeavor and what you're going through at this point? Telling me about all the complaints is great. So I have a point of reference, but we can't stay there. I said, what you're really supposed to be doing is tell me the problem. And then I'm supposed to be in here because they're paying me the $2 extra to solve your problem. So let me solve your problem, but minus all the complaining. Because that's not getting us anywhere.
Might not know the problem.
Right. So, but in these closing minutes, because we are almost in this hour.
Yes, we are. And over.
We can talk about this all night. And
right.
But
I can talk with you forever. Michelle, I can talk with you forever. I love talking with you.
Same here. But any closing words, Chrissy? I know that you are facilitating this a great job with the questions and leading the conversation in regards to our topic. Permission when you pop. Tell me the topic name again. I messed it up.
No, you're fine. So our topic: when waiting for permission costs you your power.
Yep.
So as we close, I just want to take a moment and just make sure we have one thing of clarity. So we don't want to be confused. We don't want anyone to be confused. And just make sure you're more aware that you've been acting. I can't even get it out. You are more aware than you have been acting. Mm-hmm. So when something is keeping you from coming back. And that it's not random. There's something that's blocking us. And it's our responsibility to figure out what that is. So whether we have to go to prayer or we have to speak with a friend or we go counseling or whatever it is. So instead of asking who needs to approve whatever it is that needs to be done, start asking, what do I already need to do? I know how to do it. What is it that I need to do? Take something off my plate. Get more rest. I don't know. But we know our power is never in someone else's hands. It's always in our hands.
That's it. Don't ever relinquish the power.
Exactly.
Right. And it closes. What I would tell people is, when permission is costing you your power, is when you freely give it away, when you have the free choice to choose all the time. You choose. And God gives us free will. and
Right.
you choose. But what you have to remember is that to maintain your power, you have to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do. And the main thing is deciding to go for it, deciding to be intentional, deciding to give it all you have. And you don't have to wait for that. No one has control over that but you. You make the decision every morning on what you're going to do. And yes, there are tools out here, calendaring, all the things, not overcommitting, all those things, being intentional about what you're doing, saying no, all the things we just kind of talked about. But the reality is that the power still lies with you. It got let God be your co-pilot, be your pilot, and you be the co-pilot, and ask him, what are you to do every day? Because that's something we tend to forget too, is that what is your purpose for today? Not 5 years from now in the future. What is your
Right now,
purpose for
today.
today? What do you have for me, God, today to do? How do I make an impact today? And the impact starts when you stop asking for permission and start going for it.
That's right. And that was a good wrap up. See, I bumbled all over my notes. So so we're gonna leave it right there because that was good. All right.
Well,
So don't leave with any pressure. Leave with one decision, one step, one shift. Because the moment you stop waiting is the moment that you will see that things start changing. Thank you
that's
so
it.
much for joining us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. We love you, and we will see you next time.
That's it. And hey, Inner Circle Collective Community, if you're interested, join now. $47 subscription. We're going to be talking about 5 pillar areas: career, health, finances, relationships, and spirituality. You got 4 dynamic coaches. I'm one of your coaches, LaShawn D. Michael Esquire, the Legacy Builder Coach. And
I'm Christy Davis, the AI Freedom Architect. All things AI.
And we have our 2 other coaches who are absent. Gwendolyn Althea, who is our well-rested yogi, going to teach us about wellness. And of course, holding up the rear is our founder and creator, Denise Merriweather, who is our career coach at Freedom by Design. And all of her programs are here for your appetite and pleasure. So join us because we want to grow together. That is the key components of why we are here. And we will see y'all next time in the Inner Circle Collective Community. Bye for now. Have a great rest of the week.
Good night.